California loves Fox.
Coming up, Ramona Africa takes the witness stand. The only adult MOVE survivor tells her side of the story about MOVE's stormy relationship with the city of Philadelphia.
And co-workers remember a murdered colleague in Abington. We will go live to a vigil tonight in memory of a murdered restaurant manager. Those stories and more next on the Fox 10 o'clock news.
She's gonna glow. You know, I never should have bought that car. I can see the headlines. Man found in desert with giant lemon. She is gonna glow. I told you. Brenda, I'm a moron.
Here's some friendly advice. With a zero-down, $199 a month lease, it's even easier to get to know the dependable car that's so easy to love. So get to know Geo Prism today, because having your car die is about as much fun as having somebody say, "I told you so."
How's your job?
Great. There's still a lot of stress, though.
You still getting those headaches?
Yeah. I actually went to the doctor. I thought they might be migraines. He said they weren't. He told me to take Tylenol, extra strength.
Tylenol? Not some prescription, huh?
The Tylenol works great, Dad.
More than aspirin, more than ibuprofen. For headaches, doctors recommend Tylenol the most.
You should have come to work for me, Julie.
Oh, sure. No stress there.
Let's rock.
All this week, the Simpsons are hanging with Aerosmith, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and Sting.
I used to open for Krusty.
And on Sunday, it's a full hour of all new Simpsons featuring Homer Palooza.
More butt support, more butt support.
Rockstar Week on The Simpsons.
Weeknights at 6, Sunday at 8 on Fox.
And now, Philadelphia's first primetime news hour, the Fox 10 o'clock news.
Good evening, I'm Jill Chernikoff.
And I'm Rich Noonan. Here's what's happening tonight. She's been waiting for years to tell a jury her story. Ramona Africa is now getting her chance. Africa and 2 others are suing the city and former city officials over the MOVE fire that killed 11 people and destroyed 61 homes 11 years ago. As Bryn Friedman reports, Ramona Africa's words could be worth millions if the jury believes her.
MOVE members always tell the truth, said Ramona Africa, as she was sworn in on the stand today. Her burns hidden by long sleeves, the 41-year-old Africa described herself as MOVE's Minister of Information and called MOVE a deeply religious revolutionary organization dedicated to natural living and protective of life. Outside court, Africa was asked how she reconciled her nonviolent philosophy with the fact that MOVE had been engaged in gun battles with police, resulting in the death of 1 police officer and the wounding of several others in 1978.
MOVE people have never, ever taken any aggressive action against anybody. We have always made it clear that we will defend ourselves, and self-defense is not inconsistent with protecting life.
According to Africa, MOVE members were the innocent victims of police aggression, both in 1978 and again in 1985. The police came to us, she said. We didn't go to them. They are the ones that bombed our house and killed our babies. But MOVE was also known to shout profanities and threaten everyone, from police, the president, to the mayor. Africa says they were only shooting off their mouths, getting attention. Her lawyer says it won't make a difference with the jury.
That's language that has been used. That's language that you use. That's language that other people use on occasions. Sure, would we rather not have that as a society? Yeah. Is there profanity in this society? Yeah. Does that mean you can bomb and burn someone? Absolutely not.
Africa is suing the city and 2 former officials for dropping a bomb on the MOVE complex and letting the fire burn. Police were trying to arrest 4 MOVE members who refused to come out of the house. Defense attorneys say they will attack Africa by contrasting what they say are the differences between MOVE's pacifist philosophy and violent tactics.
We intend to disprove that, of course, that they acted very offensively when they started shooting at the police.
Africa returns to the stand tomorrow at the federal courthouse. Bryn Friedman, the Fox 10 o'clock news.
Montgomery County Police are still looking for the gunman who killed a Houlihan's restaurant manager yesterday. 28-year-old John Thurberg was shot in a robbery attempt. Tonight, a candlelight vigil is being held in front of Houlihan's in Thurberg's honor. Jan Fisher joins us live now from Abington. Jan?
Jail des Houlihan's, where John Thurberg worked, is closed tonight. Possibly it will reopen tomorrow, and when it does, memories of him will linger a while.
Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be.
A memorial service, a song of peace and hope. Employees and friends, a gathering of remembrance and prayer.
Our brother John was suddenly and violently taken from us. Come swiftly to his aid.
John Thurberg was gunned down, execution style, early Monday morning. A robbery attempt gone bad, a murder much too successful. Thurberg was no hero, but he will be remembered.
His life did not have to end this way. And I feel bad because I think of all the things that I've done in my life. And I think maybe I deserve to be here. Maybe it should have been me.
Police are searching for two black men, one tall with dark skin, the other 5'6" or 5'8" with medium complexion. When the men are captured, the Montgomery County District Attorney says the charge will be first-degree murder. But right now, police are not talking about any leads they may have in the case. Rich?
All right, Jan, thank you. The bowling team is called the Demolition Men, and tonight, federal authorities are investigating members of that team for the I-95 arson fire. Sources say arson investigators are about to single out 4 teenagers whom they believe are involved in the March 13th tire fire that closed the highway. Dave Schratweiser has the latest on the investigation.
The rebuilding of I-95 is approaching the home stretch, and for thousands of commuters, the traffic nightmare should soon be over. But for 4 teenagers suspected of setting the 8-alarm blaze that destroyed parts of the highway, the trouble is about to start. As we first reported last month, the fire and the 4 young men are now the focus of federal investigators. Sources say the teenagers come from 2 bowling teams who frequent the Erie bowling lanes. Ironically, the teams are called the Demolition Men and Dazed and Confused. Sources say 2 of the teenagers under investigation are employees at the bowling alley. Sources tell the Fox 10 o'clock news that on the night of the fire, investigators believe the 4 teenagers stopped their car here. 2 of the teens allegedly got out to set the fire. One of the young men, according to sources, was allegedly carrying some type of makeshift fire starter kit that was used to touch off the blaze. Arson investigators and federal officials from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms refused to comment on the investigation, but federal prosecutors are said to be within 2 weeks of filing charges, and sources say at least one of the teenagers gave a statement to the U.S. Attorney's Office outlining each of the teenagers' roles in the I-95 fire. Investigators are looking at 5 more arson fires set in the area since January.
What do I see? Headaches. Money, headaches, lots of downtime.
The I-95 fire has caused big problems for Jerry Mezgai, who owns a construction company next to the fire scene. The fire has cost him about $600,000 in damages and lost business. Mezgai is just now starting to rebuild his company's offices. He wants to see those responsible for starting the fire brought to justice.
I'd like to see them go to jail for life, but you'd never see it. You know, what kind of impact it did to us, you know, that's the same thing it should do to them.
In Port Richmond, Dave Schratweiser, the Fox 10 o'clock news.
The race is on tonight for president of District Council 33, the union representing Philadelphia's 9,600 blue-collar workers. 2-term incumbent Jim Sutton is being challenged by Pete Matthews in tonight's vote. Yesterday, union delegates voted down a Sutton proposal to strike Matthews from the ballot. Sutton claimed Matthews was nominated by a retired employee who was ineligible as a union delegate. We'll bring you the results of tonight's race as soon as they become available.
The power is back on tonight for 300,000 people in 3 states. 16 high-voltage circuit breakers failed at the same time today, causing a day-long blackout in Delaware, Maryland, and Virginia. Businesses and schools were forced to close. Traffic was snarled until the electricity was restored this evening. Regional power fluctuations also forced 1 reactor at the Limerick nuclear power plant to shut down. Delmarva Power and Light says this is the biggest power failure it's had in 30 years that wasn't storm-related.
The Philadelphia School District is making one last plea for money with the budget deadline just 17 days away. Superintendent David Hornbeck told City Council today the $15 million the city has pledged will go to restore some of the proposed cuts. But even with other newfound savings, the school district is still $23 million short.
It is clear that a united approach to obtaining more money from Harrisburg in the coming weeks is imperative. The city charter requires us to close the remaining deficit by May 31st. Certainly, we will continue to examine every possible non-school-based cut, savings, and additional revenue from any source as these next 17 days pass.
The superintendent says the lack of funds will lead to cuts in his children achieving agenda. One of the major hits would be all-day kindergarten classes. The expansion that started last year will likely come to a halt.
Coming up tonight, the discovery of the ValueJet black box is yielding clues for crash investigators. We'll go live to the Everglades.
A 9th grader hijacks a school bus and leads police on a high-speed chase.
Beers selling frogs are more recognizable to some children than the Power Rangers. A lawmaker is fighting to change that.
And you're having a baby, but you don't want to go to the hospital. Dr. Brian McDonough reports tonight on midwives. There's much more ahead as the Fox 10 o'clock news continues.
The 10 o'clock news is brought to you in part by Prism. It's the best thing about home.
Summertime. Family get-togethers, barbecues, and baseball. And Prism has an all-star summer lineup with exclusive Phillies home games, hit movies, coverage of the Pinnacle All-Star Fan Fest, plus the All-Star Game commemorative plate. Yours free for a limited time only when you order Prism. To get Prism and your very collectible All-Star plate, call 1-800-CABLE-ME. Call now and get free connection if you have cable. Prism. This summer, it's the best thing about home.
A few years ago, we did this demonstration to show how the Nissan Altima runs so smoothly. It can pass the same test as the $40,000 Lexus LS 400. But perhaps you're wondering what happens to an Altima after its owner has driven it over 100,000 miles. We're pleased to say, not very much. Lease the Altima GXE with automatic transmission for $0 down and $239 a month for 39 months.
It's fabulous, isn't it? I love this room. It turned out so great. The color is just what I wanted. I heard about Sears that they've got this computer or something that you can bring in anything and they will match it.
This is the color that I wanted, and they said, okay.
During our home inspiration sale, the Sears Color Match system can help you coordinate colors throughout your house. Save on Sears' best Easy Living Flat, Satin, and Semi-Gloss. For the best finish, start at Sears and Sears hardware stores.
Tires aren't always the first thing on your mind until you find that pothole out there with your name on it. Trust Uniroyal tires with DuraShield construction built for puncture resistance, long tread life, and durability to take the worst the road can dish out and still keep you going. Uniroyal tires, driving dependability home.
Check the yellow pages for a Uniroyal dealer near you.
She is growing, and we'll be changing our name. Soon it'll be, unless the Chapman emblem is on your car truck, you probably paid too much.
An explosion caused quite a scare today at the Newark airport. Police are trying to figure out if it was a bomb that caused a suitcase to blow up on a conveyor belt. The bomb squad was called in to investigate. The bag was about to be loaded on an Air France jet when it exploded. All passengers were evacuated from the plane and then matched with their luggage to see if the exploding bag belonged to any one of them. No one was hurt in that incident. In the Florida Everglades, the search for victims and wreckage from ValueJet Flight 592 continues. Searchers are wading through the muck and swamp looking for remains of the 109 passengers who were killed in Saturday's crash. Authorities say they are getting good information from the data recorder recovered yesterday. Rita Cosby joins us now live with an update.
Joe, indeed, investigators stress that these findings are preliminary, but they clearly show the speed and the angle of the plane before it crashed. Based on the information in the flight data recorder released just a short time ago, it is no wonder no one survived. The data recorder for ValueJet Flight 592 reveals the frightening last minutes for the crew and passengers before they plunged to the ground.
The altitude dropped 815 feet, and the airspeed dropped 34 knots. This lasted between 3 and 4 seconds.
And although this flight data recorder was recovered in amazingly good condition, it leaves out the most crucial piece of information.
The last 50 seconds of the flight data recorder data are missing.
Meanwhile, the search continues for other key pieces of evidence embedded in the thick mud and murky water. Although bad weather cut short their efforts today, divers are hopeful they'll soon find the cockpit voice recorder, which will have pilot Candelin Kubek's final words. But divers have a perilous task. A heavy layer of toxic jet fuel still coats the scene and forces them to suit up in heavy protective gear.
They're working on basically a half-hour rotation to where they can only stay in the suits for a half hour. They have to come out, be decontaminated.
The sight is too much to bear for family members and friends of the 109 victims. Today, many came here raw with emotions.
To lose somebody and there's no answers, no questions, no answers, and there's no body, it makes it even tougher.
Tomorrow, family members will hold a memorial service at the site. Meanwhile, investigators say after finding parts of the plane apparently covered with soot, they are speculating that that reported fire in the cockpit may have been caused by an explosion, and they will certainly look more into that tomorrow. Reporting live from Miami, Rita Cosby. Back to you, Rich.
Rita, have they found any big pieces of the fuselage yet?
They have located the engines. They have not removed those, and those are obviously quite large and quite substantial. They've also located the stairway, also another section of the walkway, but most of those parts have not been physically removed from the water.
All right, Rita, thank you very much. More scrutiny of the airline industry today, this time on Capitol Hill, where a call came for the firing of the Inspector General of the Transportation Department. There were also heated questions for the head of the FAA, who was forced to defend the integrity of his agency. All this as yet another plane was forced to make an emergency landing. Jed Duval has the story.
Another incident today. A Boeing 727 jet operated by Miami Air lost cabin pressure, made an emergency landing at Norfolk, Virginia. No injuries reported. Are little airlines, new airlines such as ValueJet, having trouble? Are they safe? Are there enough federal inspectors looking at the engines, the wings, all the systems? They were worried at the Senate Commerce Committee.
I think the American people do deserve to be reassured that airline safety is not just for some airlines.
Senator Stevens of Alaska looked in Newsweek magazine, and there is Mary Schiavo, the Inspector General of the Department of Transportation, saying she doesn't fly on what she calls marginal airlines, including ValueJet.
I think she's destroying confidence in the system we're trying to restore confidence in. I suggest to you the President has the right to remove an Inspector General for dereliction of duty.
Also taking a pounding was the head of the FAA. David Hinson said airlines, new and old, large and small, get the same scrutiny.
She's saying that to a great extent, the system is sort of hit and miss.
I strongly take exception to her comments. When we say an airline is safe to fly, it is safe to fly. There is no gray area.
Even so, the Department of Transportation is investigating whether Hinson's agency was aware that ValueJet was headed for trouble before the crash. In any case, Hinson says the FAA is speeding up by several months the hiring of 100 new inspectors. Jed Duval, Fox News, Washington.
Some tense moments aboard a small commuter plane in Ewing, New Jersey today. The pilot of an Eastwind Airlines plane noticed vibrations shortly after taking off from the Trenton-Mercer County Airport. So he turned around the plane carrying 97 passengers and returned it to Trenton. The passengers boarded another Eastwind plane to Providence, Rhode Island. The airline is investigating the cause of the vibration.
A 15-year-old boy is dead after leading police on a high-speed chase in a hijacked school bus. Justin Allgood ended up crashing the bus into a home, apparently after he shot himself in the head. It happened this morning in Salt Lake City, Utah. The boy shot the bus driver in the leg after she refused to hand over the keys. He then helped her and his schoolmates off the bus and drove away.
He goes, "Get off the bus," and he pointed it at her head and cocked the gun. And then when he kept on going, "Get off the bus," and she goes, "Give me the gun," and he was shaking his hand back and forth up at her head and her leg. And then she goes, "Give me the gun." She put her hand up and he shot her in the leg. And I just took off.
The bus driver is now in stable condition. Police say Allgood didn't have a history of violence. They believe the recent deaths of 3 of his friends pushed him over the edge.
Coming up tonight, news about an HIV test that you can take at home.
And a jury decides the fate of Jack Kevorkian, the so-called suicide doctor.
The produce tip of the day is brought to you by Acme Markets. For more freshness, more quality, and more value, Acme's the way you save more.
Today we've taken the produce tip of the day to Philadelphia and the annual convention of the International Association of Culinary Professionals. One of my favorite culinary professionals, Marianne Esposito, host of the PBS show Ciao Italia, is here with me today. And Marianne, I understand from your book, The Celebrations Italian Style, you're going to give us a couple of tips on leeks.
A tip on leeks. Well, you know, a lot of people don't cook leeks because they think, well, it's a messy vegetable. It's what do you do with it? And with this recipe, all we did was, first of all, clean the leek by cutting it lengthwise, you see, because often it's dirty right in the center.
Inside, yeah.
And you want to make sure that you wash that well by putting it in water and getting out all the grit inside. Then all we did was bake the leeks with a little bit of wine and water in a bake pan, and then made a mustard vinaigrette with spicy mustard.
Looks delicious.
And this is for you, honey.
Thank you very much. This is your greengrocer, Johnny Lira, with Marianne Esposito and your produce tip of the day.
Ciao.
Acme saves you more. Acme's your store for more main meal savings, like frozen turkey breast, just 98 cents a pound. Boneless chicken breasts, only $1.98 a pound. Lancaster brand top round London broil, also $1.98 a pound. And fresh salmon steak, only $4.99 a pound. So shop Acme and save. Acme's the way you save more. Acme saves you more.
Introducing a very special automobile. Being built in limited numbers doesn't make it special, nor the fact it's available for a limited time. Even adding air conditioning, automatic transmission, and AM/FM stereo isn't that unusual. But when all this describes a Honda Accord at $17,390, nice. Special sounds downright inadequate.
The so-called suicide doctor is off the hook again for a 3rd time. A Michigan jury has found Dr. Jack Kevorkian not guilty of assisted suicide charges. The Right to Die crusader was on trial for assisting in the suicides of 2 women in 1991. Kevorkian, who is 67 years old, dismissed the importance of the trial, calling it a lynching by the judicial system. He said the only thing that would stop him now is being burned at the stake.
I've always said that my plans are to help a suffering human when and if that human needs the help. I mean, that's all a doctor can, a physician should do and can do. Anything else to me is irrelevant because it's political or out of my control.
Dr. Kevorkian has admitted to attending 28 deaths since 1991, including one during his most recent trial. Kevorkian has been acquitted twice before of charges related to assisted suicides. The mother of a 14-year-old Glassboro boy who was killed by a Glassboro police officer is suing. Dolores Sanders and her attorney held a news conference today to say her son's civil rights were violated in April 1994 when he was shot to death. Eltremaine L.T. Sanders was shot in front of his Glassboro home by Officer Peter Amico. The officer said the boy lunged at him with a knife. Amico was cleared of all wrongdoing in 3 investigations. Sanders' mother is seeking unspecified damages. Officer Amico and 8 others are named in the lawsuit.
Residents of Camden are pressing on with their effort to solve the city's vacant housing crisis. Hundreds of people turned out for a meeting tonight at St. Joseph's Cathedral to speak with city officials. Camden Churches Organized for People is spearheading a citywide campaign to address the problem. 3,000 to 5,000 vacant buildings plague the city's neighborhoods. Residents say the decay has contributed to the recent surge of violence in the city. Philadelphians join hands today at noon in an effort to win the war on drugs. Hands Across the City brought people together at 3 areas across Philadelphia. Hands was put together by the Interfaith Global Substance Abuse Coalition. Today's lunchtime event kicked off a 24-hour period of prayer People are asked to pray for an end to the city's drug problems.
The SEPTA police have a shiny new Fern Rock police station in which to work. SEPTA General Manager Lou Gambaccini and community leaders dedicated the new station today. The headquarters will serve as a home base for 20 SEPTA police officers patrolling the Broad Street line between Allegheny and Fern Rock. SEPTA says since it began assigning officers to specific zones, the number of major crimes on the SEPTA system have decreased dramatically. The multi-million-dollar Route 202 improvement project got the go-ahead today. PennDOT is planning to widen a 5-mile section of 202 and rebuild the areas where the road meets interchanges 76 and Route 422 in Upper Marion. The $160 million project is designed to improve travel between King of Prussia and Paoli. Construction is expected to begin next year.
There is a traffic jam on the information superhighway. The demand for phone numbers for computers, cell phones, and fax machines may force the Philadelphia area to come up with 2 or more new area codes. The 610 area code was introduced just 2 years ago and is already expected to run out of numbers by 1998. The same fate is expected for the 215 area code.
For years, tobacco companies have been bashed for advertising geared toward young people or even children. Now the beer companies are taking some heat over their catchy commercials, which children seem to love. Marianne McCrae reports.
Saturday morning at the Lavin home in Montclair, New Jersey. With cartoons come commercials and direct appeals to kids.
The better peanut butter crunch taste will have you screaming for.
But a nationwide battle is brewing over a different sort of commercial, an ad, some researchers say, with which kids are more familiar than the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
A couple frogs say, Budweiser. We shouldn't use frogs to advertise poison.
They're some of the finest, best produced ads on television. But who does a bunch of cartoon advertising frogs appeal to? It appeals to kids.
Congressman Kennedy will introduce legislation this week which takes aim at alcohol advertising and its effect on young people. A USA Today Harris poll found the Bud Frogs one of the most popular ads around.
We think the campaign is successful for the same reason any other advertising campaign is successful. People relate to it, it's humorous and creative.
And it's aimed at those in their 20s. But does it drive underage kids to drink? Some researchers find little correlation. Other analysts say there is a cause and effect.
Something that appeals to that 21-year-old may very well have that crossover effect and also reach a 15 or a 13-year-old.
Anheuser-Busch has one position when it comes to underage drinking. We're against it.
So to help you explain why some things that may be fine for adults aren't right for children, Anheuser-Busch offers Family Talk.
Anheuser-Busch cites studies that say that parents, not advertising, influence teens most when it comes to drinking.
The flap over the Bud Frogs comes on the heels of another controversial character, Joe Camel, who critics say told children it was cool to smoke cigarettes.
And now Kennedy's legislation will seek to rein in the Bud Bullfrog by restricting when and where the popular critters can be seen. Marianne McCrae, CNN, New York.
Coming up, a big comeback for a member of the Phillies.
Kurt Schilling overcomes an injury in the Giants sluggers tonight at the vet. Plus, Dr. Brian McDonough reports on midwives, a thriving alternative to hospital deliveries.
I'm Don Tollison.
And I'm Tracy Matisak. Thursday on Good Day, the sky's the limit. We're going to take the show on the road and broadcast live from Philadelphia International Airport.
We'll be checking out all the summer travel bargains. We'll tell you what really happens to your luggage, plus we'll have all important travel safety tips.
Don't miss it when Good Day takes to the skies, Thursday morning on Fox.
Yesterday, I went looking for my perfect car. My Cadillac dealer had it, but not the color. He promised he'd have it tomorrow.
Introducing Cadillac Custom Express Delivery. It's our promise. If we don't have the Cadillac you want today, in most cases, we'll have it the very next business day.
The next day, my car arrived.
Cadillac Custom Express Delivery. See your Cadillac Super Network dealers.
I'm not so sure about this. Relax. What's a little shaking gonna do?
Once again, guys, more natural. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2
For the natural, invigorating taste of Orangina, you've simply got to shake it.
Hey, boss.
Bob? Gentlemen?
Frankie. Hi, fellas.
Hi, Lee. Do they really think they can pass as him?
No. People know the genuine article when they see it, like the genuine Bell Atlantic Yellow Pages. It has the information and choices that make shopping easier. 9 out of 10 use it. The genuine Bell Atlantic Yellow Pages.
Hey, boys. Lost my way to Vegas.
Bell Atlantic, the heart of communication.
It's him!
A mother turns in her abusive son.
Maybe we caught it in time and it won't become a problem.
On the next Cops.
Tonight at 11:35 on Fox Philadelphia.
This portion of the 10 o'clock news is brought to you by Philadelphia Department of Public Health Healthy Start Program, Delaware Health and Social Services, and Kennedy Memorial Hospital, University Medical Center.
Health news tonight. For the last 50 years or so, most